I know y'all have been waiting on this recipe, and I'm sorry because for some reason I cook 8 different things a week, and then I have over 2 days worth of content and footage that I have to go through and edit. We're working on it. We're getting better every day. So this is finally here for you guys. It is my homemade ravioli. It's a lobster ravioli with the cream sauce. And I did baked scallops and then pieces of lobster also. Now the moment of truth, the recipe. Now I use 2 cups of flour, all purpose, and I reserve about a half a cup just in case I need it. Going with 3 large eggs, and then I go in with 2 teaspoons of olive oil and then just some salt. Now this part I sped up for you guys because this is going to take a minute. Nobody told me when I first started making pasta the physical strength you need to knead the dough. And this part does take time. Like, making fresh pasta is not hard. It's 4 ingredients. It's so simple, but it's going to take time and patience. You're going to have to be patient. And so I say, before you start anywhere, start with pasta, because you got to get pasta right. And if you don't get it right, which means that if you don't knead it long enough, if you don't let it rest long enough, if you don't prepare it properly, you're going to be able to tell them the flavor. You're going to be able to tell them the elasticity. You're going to be able to tell in the cooking process. Like, it's, if you fail at this, you're going to have to start over. And so this was what I learned how to do first before learning how to do like the breads and the donuts and all that other good jazz that I have coming for y'all and that I've already showed to y'all. It's very important to learn the foundation and the basics. You gotta have the foundation before you get right into it. And this by far is one of the recipes that I believe takes patience, and it takes time to kind of grasp that full knowledge to know how to do this right. I've been making homemade pasta for about 3 years now, and I promise the first 6 times it sucked. And up until this last year, when I finally started taking my time to do the process, to learn the process, to knead the dough and hand knead the dough, not put it in my stand mixer, I noticed a complete change in quality of my food. And let me tell you, I'll knead this dough every day of the week moving forward, because after doing this recipe, and I made this a few weeks ago when I originally dropped the recipe, and then I made it again last night, which was the 23rd for those watching late. I got the dough perfect every time. And so I think once you perfect it that first time, it's not hard to get it after that moving forward. But this is the process it takes. And so for the next probably 3-4 minutes of this video, feel free to fast forward. You're going to be watching me knead dough. Hate to break it to you. But y'all love to watch me cook for some reason, and I'm not quite sure why. I love that you guys love to watch me cook. Like, it makes me very happy because I cook with love and I cook in love. And so sharing my cooking videos with you guys and sharing this space is like, it's just a full circle moment. And let me give you a really quick background in life, right? So obviously y'all get to know me a lot here. And my father was a chef in the Marines, and he was in the Marines for 35 years. And so the way that him and my sister bonded was over cooking, and cooking his, like, this man got up at 4 o'clock in the morning to make Thanksgiving and Christmas dinners growing up. And so my sister, I have a twin for those who don't know, my twin sister and my dad definitely bonded over food and bonded over cooking. And I had a different relationship with food and cooking growing up. And so it took me until I was about probably 23, maybe 24, to realize how much I genuinely enjoyed cooking and how I got to express myself in such creative ways, and how I got to show up how I chose to in my space and make it whatever the hell I want. And then I realized how much love came in my cooking, and from there, it's been a wrap. And so now that I've been cooking, especially online, on TikTok, on IG, now here on YouTube, I've been doing this for a while now for you guys. It's so fulfilling and just such a full circle moment, because I never thought this would be a thing that would make my heart skip beats and make me feel so complete within myself. People always talk about passions and doing the things you love because you love them, not because they make you money. Cooking is that for me. And I never thought that I'd find that thing. Now, enough of my cute little life. We needed the dough. We needed the dough for 8 to 10 minutes. And there's a big part of that I did not film. Obviously, I sped this up for you guys. Just because nobody wants to watch me knead dough for 10 minutes. I promise you don't. The same way I didn't want to knead this for 10 minutes. Y'all don't want to watch it. I promise. But it's a part of the process. Once again, you got to have that base, that foundation for good quality pasta. See, now it's about to get really fun because at this point, I'm almost done kneading the dough. And you have to smack it and watch it bounce back. And, y'all know I like a little kinky sometimes, so. But this is how you know. This is how you know that you've kneaded the dough enough. So you're going to wrap it in plastic wrap, and then you're going to set it aside for 30 minutes. In the meantime, between time, these are the 2 cheeses that I picked up from Trader's. And one is just a regular Parmesan. The other one was a truffle, a black truffle cheese. It was amazing. That wholeheartedly tied this entire dish together. The cheese was so great, and I thought it was going to be very harsh. Like, I don't like the sharper cheeses, but this was very quality. It was very mild. It was a lot more silky in texture than obviously the other cheese was. It was a lot softer. And then you know how Parmesan is. Usually it's a drier cheese. And so I graded. Listen, this is where the ancestors come into play because I don't measure shit in my kitchen unless the recipe tells me to. And so I graded the cheese until my ancestors called me home, and then I graded some more. And that's the foundation to this specifically. We're going to just grade it until I feel like it's enough cheese. And I figured I'm going to need enough cheese for my base, which was the truffle cheese, and then I'm only going to go in with about half the amount of Parmesan, simply because I already know I'm going to top it with Parmesan. I'm going to have a cream sauce, and then I'm going to add ricotta, and this is a very dry cheese again, so it was already hard enough to grate. I'm only going to go in with half the amount. Now, for those who don't know, I bought most of my cheeses from Trader's, and if you don't shop at Trader Joe's, I remember when I was a skeptic. I was like, what the fuck is a Trader Joe's? I'm so glad I figured it out. It's my favorite place in the world. It quite literally brings me peace and happiness every day. And I don't know where the aliens that they keep stashed away that make the products, but they need a pay raise. That's all I'm saying, for real. That's all I'm really saying. So we're going to add ricotta, just like I said. Got to add more cheese. Because, hey, if you lactose, don't come over here watching this shit talking about some, damn, I wish I could have some of that. Let me just go take a pill. That don't have nothing to do with me. Because y'all lactose intolerant people play the most dangerous games, and y'all have bowel issues. Like, that is nuts. Have some cool, have some decorum. Care about yourself, baby. But anyway, let me go back to minding my business and add these seasonings in. You already saw me add pepper. I also found a black garlic from Trader's. Favorite to add to dishes like this, and then I just added some salt. Keep it so cute, because sometimes, I'm all for a good seasoning, but what I don't cook with a lot of is salt, because a lot of these products and a lot of these things already have sodium in them. I cannot do overpowering salt. It is bad for your heart health, guys. We keep low cholesterol over here. I think cholesterol has something to do with salt. I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm no doctor at all. Now, if you haven't seen my knife skills, you're about to. And to be fair, this might be a little sloppy. I don't even remember cutting this shit up. I just know it took me forever. And I do this thing where I buy parsley, and then I forget I got parsley, and it goes bad in the fridge. And then I got to buy more parsley. And so I was looking at my grocery bill for the year, and I was like, I could probably cut out $500 to $600 a year or more, and just shit that I throw away. And I'm like, there's people outside starving. There's people who don't have food, and bitch, you're throwing yours away? Yeah, no. So going into 2024, we definitely will be budgeting groceries a lot better, and I will find a way to be able to store my food better and eat the shit that I make. That's my problem. I like to make shit and then go make something else next week, like the next day. Talk about next week. But anyway, enough of that. Let's get back into these knife skills. Now, shallots, for those who don't know, a shallot is like the cousin of an onion and the sister of a garlic. Let's put it like that. It's like a garlic and an onion put together, honestly. And I don't know which family it falls into. Don't ask me. I have no idea. But what I do know is it adds really great flavor, but shallots have a bite to it. And it's almost like that kick from garlic that you get, but with that, you know, that flavor of the onion. A lot of people always ask, how did you get so good at your knife skills? Chipotle. I was an assistant manager for Chipotle for 5 minutes. And in learning about the processes of Chipotle, I had to learn how to use a knife. And it's not that I didn't have great knife skills before. I just really had to learn how to have better knife skills. I was in charge of cutting anywhere between 6 to 12 bags of cilantro every morning before my shift started to get us through the day, and dicing up jalapenos and dicing up onions, and like everything so fresh, like everything. So yeah, knife skills came from Chipotle, the only good thing that job gave me. So yeah, I'm super grateful for that. I'm gonna dice everything up as fine as I can get it. I really just did not want to overdo the garlic. Like I just didn't want to mince the garlic. Like I'm gonna keep it a buck. I just didn't want to. But we did get a good dice. So now into my frying pan, I'm going to get a stick of butter. That's where we're starting with fat. We're going to start with a stick of butter. From there, we are going to get our seasonings back in the pan. Just some black pepper. I also added garlic powder to this recipe, simply because you can't go wrong. You can't go wrong with the garlic powder, in my personal opinion. Now we're going to get everything incorporated together. Just get everything mixed up together really well, because this is what we're going to add our shallots to. See, I told you. Sometimes I be knowing what I'm talking about. Oh, actually, that's the garlic. That's not the point. The point is we're adding the garlic and the shallots to the butter. There's the shallots. Welcome to the party, kid. We're going to stir, stir, stir. And we're going to mix, mix, mix. And I want to say I had this on a medium, maybe a medium high heat. But I'm really good at changing temps when I need to change the temps, because I'm also really good at burning my butter. And so sometimes that stick don't make it to the final dish because I done burnt it up. But I want to say I kept this at a medium heat just because I didn't want to burn. And then I also added olive oil to this dish simply because it thickens up. And I don't want to call it a roux because it's not that. I simply was sauteing my shallots and my garlic, and then I'm going to throw the lobster in here to get a really quick just pan sear on it, which is when I crank up the heat, because I'm also going to put that lobster into the ricotta mix so that that can be a part of the filling. See, we have it. Lobster goes in. And this is going to be such a quick cook. Like, if you've ever had overcooked lobster, it gets really tough, like really, really tough. It's not good. It's not anything you'd want to feed anybody, and it sure as hell isn't anything you want to eat yourself. So this is just going to be, the quickest saute. Like, lobster cooks very quickly. You have to watch it. And so I want to say I let it saute for maybe 5 minutes at the most, because remember, this is going into the cheese filling, the ricotta filling, and that's going to go into a pot of boiling water. And so the goal here is to not overcook the lobster. That's what we want. That's what we're striving for. And so as quickly as I put it in, I'm taking it right back out. And like I said, we're putting it into that ricotta filling, and we're going to just mix all of that stuff together, get a little bit of that butter in there because it's going to be good. And yeah, at some point, we're going to fill our noodles. We're going to fill our pasta up. Now, at this point, I am going in with more lobster, because the lobster that I'm going in with and the scallops that I'm going in with are going to be for the topping. And it's just going to be additional garnish. Like, I'm a big girl. I really enjoy meat with most of my food, whether it's a fish or a shrimp or like, something that comes out of the ocean. Whether it's beef. I don't cook with a lot of pork simply because I've just decided to take that out of my diet for the most part. But when I'm cooking with meat, with some form of meat, I think it's important to have a big portion or a big serving, because bitch, I like to eat shit. Now, I did hit it with some lemon juice because you can't go wrong with lemon juice. And again, we're gonna let this saute for a very short amount of time. And I want to say I moved this down to low heat simply because I knew that this was going to be sitting on the stove. Like, I was not paying attention to it, and so I cooked it at a lower temperature. And right before I started plating and serving everything, I cranked the temperature all the way up. I got a really great sear on my scallops, and yeah, we went from there. We served from there. Now, right when you think that the most painstaking thing you'll have to do is knead the dough, rolling out the dough, well, I'm not going to say it's the most painstaking thing, but it's definitely second in line. And simply because I don't own the pasta attachment for my KitchenAid, and I think the more peace I find in cooking, the less I'm drawn to my appliances. Like, I unplugged my KitchenAid 3-4 days ago and put it on the floor because I'm like, I don't need to use this. Like, if I can't do it with my hands, then I don't want to do it. And I took it out this morning for whipped cream, and so it was something very simple that I needed it for. But I just find so much peace in being able to do this. And so you're looking for a certain thinness and width when it comes down to the pasta dough itself, because you don't want anything too thick. You'll be able to tell once it's cooked, and you don't want anything too thin because the filling will fall out. And I could not find a ravioli cutter because you don't realize how, I guess, exclusive they are, and I have to order one from either Amazon or go to one of these super fancy overpriced branded spots in uptown Charlotte that I don't want to go to, if we're being completely honest. So this is the trick that I learned when I first started making pasta. All you need is a rolling pin. It's actually not a wheel. All you need is a rolling pin, and you let your dough fall off the edge of the counter because gravity is going to work the other half. That's the best part of this. Gravity is definitely going to work the other half of that pasta. Now, you don't want the pasta to hit the floor, obviously, but I cut it here because I'm going to need a top and a bottom for my pasta. So it's just easier to cut here and to thin out a little bit more so that I can go ahead and add my filling, which is what I'm about to do here. Now, the one thing I definitely learned with making this recipe, because again, I know that I look like I've done this before. I have not made a ravioli ever. This is the first time I've made ravioli. And in doing this, I realized that the amount of filling that I put in between should have been a lot less. And that's okay. This is a safe space. We are all learning together. Definitely should have been a lot less because I had to use cookie cutters, and I went to Walmart and I actually found a pack of cookie cutters that did the job. It worked perfectly, but you have to be able to seal off the ravioli, and that's the part about not having a ravioli cutter. Or I don't even own a pizza cutter. So like, am I the problem? Definitely. But you have to have at least 2 inches to work with, probably more than that, because I really don't know what 2 inches is in real life. I just like to think I do. And so when you don't have enough space in between each like amount of filling, you don't have enough space to close off the ravioli. That's the one lesson I can honestly say I learned here. But these are the trial and error things of cooking. Like, sometimes it's not always going to be perfect. It's never going to be perfect. It's what you make it, honestly. And I did my big one with this, so that's the point, you know? Now that we've gotten our sheet of pasta thin enough, we're going to go in and top it off. And all I did was go in between where the filling was so that I could kind of create a roadmap of where I need to apply the cookie cutter to cut out the ravioli. Now, when I did this part, I did realize that I added too much filling. That's what you're going to see here, which is fine again. And I should have floured the counter before I went and started cutting. But again, this is all going to be trial and error. That's the best part of the kitchen. You fuck it up, you can fix it. It does not take a lot to make something less salty, or to make a roux or a sauce thinner, or whatever the case is. You can be as creative as you want to here. For God's sake, I'm using cookie cutters to cut out my ravioli. Like, there is so much room for flexibility here. Welcome back. Now we're back in action, and we're adding our scallops and lobster back into the frying pan just to warm it up, get a cute little browning on here, because we want it to be warm. Obviously, we want our food to be hot, but also I did not want to overcook it. And I have to stress that, because I have fucked it up too many times, and I don't want you guys to fuck it up. I'm here to steer you in the right direction, past the mistakes, past the hurdles, past the speed bumps. I want the best things for you guys. Now we are going to go in with the pasta that I cooked, because obviously the pasta's cooked now. We love to see it. And we're just going to put it into this butter sauce. All it is the butter seasoning with the lobster and the scallops. Clearly, it has the nice browning on it. Now, because I knew the dish was coming to an end, I was finishing up everything. I cranked up the heat on this because I wanted the pasta to have the opportunity to finish up in the sauce, and then I wanted the sauce to be nice and hot. I wanted the scallops and lobster to obviously be nice and hot. Now, if you know me and you know my content, you know I don't eat ugly food, and I sure as hell don't make ugly food. I eat with my eyes first, and if it's not aesthetically pleasing, or if it does not look appetizing, I'm not putting that shit in my mouth. Sorry, hate to break it to you. Yes, I'm her, and I'm always going to be here, because I know what I'm going to provide for myself, and I do deserve all the best things in life. So that should tell you everything you need to know. So it all matters. It all plays a part. There is a bigger picture here. So I went in with the ravioli. They came out beautifully. Scallops on top, lobster on top, a little bit of that butter sauce is going to go on top as well. I went back and grated some of that Parmesan cheese and that truffle cheese on top, just because you can't go wrong with more cheese. Like, the more cheese, the merrier, except for y'all lactose intolerant people I was talking about earlier. But you know, it's a safe space. Take your pill and come on over, baby. It's enough room to share. And you just can't have enough cheese here. Like, I was like, all right, bitch, slow down. Like, damn, you're about to add more cheese. But then again, it is a ravioli. It's a cheese ravioli, so you can't go wrong. Now, I did not show y'all the recipe for my cream sauce. Super simple. That leftover butter that I added heavy cream to it and just a few more seasonings, and that's what I'm putting over top. This is what tied the dish together. This is what brought everything together. It was so good. And usually I'll do like an Alfredo or like a cheese in my cream sauce. Didn't need to, obviously, because all the cheese is already on top. And I'm going to top this with more cheese. Why? Because there's never enough cheese, babes. Because more cheese is always needed. And then, of course, last but never least, parsley on top, because you know I like your green, baby. Like my money, honey. Listen, full recipe, directions, everything will be listed in the description. Please let me know in the comments if you try it out. Please let me know what problems you come into, what problems you don't come into, what your favorite thing about it was, and how I can make it different the next time. I would love your suggestions, and I would love to hear from you. So let me know. Glad I could do this for you guys. See you next time. Psych, I just had to show y'all one more time.